TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donation. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin broadcast from Jerusalem. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomes Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, dubbing him a great friend. President Donald Trump says during his State of the Union address that Iran continues to pursue nuclear weapons. German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul urges the Ayatollah Regime to succumb to American demands. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Israel today for a 2-day state visit, his second since July of 2017. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warmly welcomed Prime Minister Modi on the tarmac at Ben Gurion International Airport, where the Indian leader attended a relatively brief honor guard ceremony. Subsequently, Netanyahu and Modi held an intimate meeting before traveling to Jerusalem.
This is a bond of real friendship. Great friend, my great friend. Thank you.
After holding a meeting together, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu traveled to Jerusalem, where the Indian Prime Minister received the honor of addressing the Israeli Parliament, or Knesset in Hebrew, which we will expand on in tomorrow's TV7 Israel News broadcast. Prior to Prime Minister Modi's visit, during his weekly cabinet meeting in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stressed Israel's deep-rooted and strategic friendship with India in general and India's leader in particular.
We have a unique and, in my opinion, historic alliance with the United States, both nation to nation and through my personal relationship with President Trump. This alliance does not mean that we are not seeking additional alliances. On the contrary, we are cultivating them constantly. This week, expression will be given to the special relationship that has been forged over recent years between Israel and the global power that is India, and between myself and its leader, Prime Minister Modi. We are personal friends. We speak frequently on the phone and visit one another. I have visited India, and Modi has visited here. We waded together in the waters of the Mediterranean, and much water has flowed since then in the Mediterranean, the Ganges, and the Jordan, though less in the Jordan. In any case, one thing has happened. The fabric of this relationship has grown tighter, and he is coming here so we can tighten it further through a series of decisions related to strengthening cooperation between our governments and countries. This includes economic, diplomatic, and security cooperation.
Prime Minister Netanyahu further revealed his vision amid a diminishing Iranian axis and a rising alliance of radical Islamist state actors, which India and Israel view as a common threat.
In the vision I see before me, we will create an entire system, essentially a hexagon of alliances around or within the Middle East. This includes India, Arab nations, African nations, Mediterranean nations, and nations in Asia that I won't detail at the moment. I will present this in an organized manner. The intention here is to create an axis of nations that see eye to eye on the reality, challenges, and goals against the radical axis, both the radical Shia axis, which we have struck very hard, and the emerging radical Sunni axis. All of these nations share a different perception, and our cooperation can yield great results and, of course, ensure our resilience and our future.
Prime Minister Netanyahu's vision to establish a strategic multilateral security alliance is rooted in a recognition that the highly plausible fall of the radical Iran-led Shiite axis would make way for the emergence of a radical Sunni axis. And while diplomacy remains the preferred path to curbing the Ayatollah regime's malign activities, to include its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles programs alongside its support for terror proxies and other militias throughout the region, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian was unequivocal in Tehran's intentions to reject American demands.
We will not bow down in the face of any of these difficulties. World powers are lining up with cowardice to force us to bow our heads. Just as you did not bow down in the face of difficulties, we will not bow down in the face of these problems.
Ahead of President Donald Trump's State of the Union address early this morning, U.S. Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, alongside CIA Director John Ratcliffe, held a confidential briefing on the situation vis-à-vis the Islamic Republic of Iran to the 8 most senior senators. Following the meeting, Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer voiced concern over the Ayatollah regime's behavior and urged the Trump administration to make their case to the American people.
This is serious, and the administration has to make its case to the American people.
Subsequently, during his State of the Union address, President Trump explicitly stressed that the Ayatollah regime continues to pursue nuclear weapons.
For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact. He was the father of the roadside bomb. And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like, 32,000 protesters. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon.
President Trump continued by emphasizing his preference to achieve a diplomatic solution to Iran's nuclear ambitions.
My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
Meanwhile, in Berlin, German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul, during a joint press conference with visiting Belgian Foreign Minister Maxime Prévost, called on the Islamic Republic of Iran to end its obstinate approach and succumb to Washington's demands, particularly vis-à-vis its nuclear and ballistic missile programs, as well as its support for terror proxies across the Middle East.
If Tehran were to analyze the situation soberly, it should recognize that it needs to move closer to the U.S. in these 3 areas, and that it also needs to meet Europe's expectations, because we too are threatened by this. It must abandon its support for Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, and I say this especially as German Foreign Minister, who bears a particular responsibility for the security of the State of Israel. These are points we have been raising with the Iranian government for some time now, and where we have seen too little willingness to compromise. I hope that Tehran now recognizes this. It is time to make this clear and finally assume a constructive role in the global community.
The remarks by Berlin's top diplomat followed a statement by EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas earlier this week, who had also stressed the hope of the European institution to see Iran succumb to America's demands, stressing that we do not need another war in this region.
We don't need another war in this region. We already have a lot. So we have stressed the diplomatic way out of this. So we are also willing to contribute. And it's not only the nuclear issue, but it's also the ballistic missile program and the other worries we have with Iran.
Representatives of both the United States and the Ayatollah regime via Omani mediation are expected to reconvene in Geneva tomorrow. And while hope lingers for a negotiated resolution, both American and Israeli officials have voiced pessimism about prospects for a tangible breakthrough. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News, which is made possible by the generosity of our viewers. If you would like to help support TV7 Israel, as we aim to update you on the latest and decipher the most complex issues related to Israel, the Middle East, and beyond, you can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Jonathan Essen wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.